Hello, folks! Welcome to what I'm calling Courtroom Showdown, The Truth Strikes Back. Buckle up, because today we're diving into a legal saga so juicy it makes law and order look like a nap in a hammock. Picture this: two fearless women, Pam Bondi and Karoline Leavitt, squaring off against a judge so powerful he could probably make a gavel cry. This isn't just a story about justice. It's about guts, wit, and a sprinkle of, "Whoa, did that just happen? Ready? Let's roll!" The federal courtroom in Atlanta, Georgia, was tenser than a cat on a Roomba. Sunlight streamed through windows so tall they probably had their own zip code, casting shadows that screamed, "Drama's coming!" The air smelled like mahogany, old papers, and the kind of power that makes you whisper, "Don't mess this up." The gallery was packed: reporters, law nerds, and folks who wandered in thinking this was a free buffet. Everyone was buzzing, leaning forward like they were about to hear the secret to eternal youth. At the helm sat Judge Malcolm Reeves, a man so stern he could make a spreadsheet flinch. His nickname? The Iron Gavel. Some said he ruled with fairness. Others swore he could silence a room with a single eyebrow raise. When his gavel hit the bench, it wasn't just a sound, it was a statement. "Order," he barked, then added, "and keep the thermostat at 67 degrees. If you're chilly, I suggest knitting a sweater mid-trial." The crowd swapped confused looks. Was he serious? Spoiler: with Reeves, everything was serious, down to the courtroom's Wi-Fi password. Probably obey or else. The doors swung open, and in strode Pam Bondi, Attorney General and certified powerhouse. Her walk? Pure, "I've got this" energy, like she'd just aced a TED Talk on confidence. Beside her was Karoline Leavitt, the legal world's equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. Sharp, versatile, and ready for anything. Her leather case was so organized, it probably had its own LinkedIn profile. Their heels clicked on the stone floor, echoing like a metronome in a silent symphony of, "Oh, stuff's about to go down." Reeves peered over his glasses, sizing them up like a chef inspecting slightly suspicious lettuce. "New counsel, I presume?" he said, his tone drier than a desert stand-up routine. Pam didn't blink. "We're here to drop some truth bombs, Your Honor." Karoline cracked open her case, revealing files so neat they could have starred in a Marie Kondo special. The gallery whispered, "Who do these two think they are?" Spoiler alert, they were Pam and Karoline, and they weren't here to play legal checkers. They were playing 4D chess. Reeves leaned back, his chair creaking like it was begging for a break. "This case has been reviewed to death. I hope you've brought more than a PowerPoint and good intentions." Pam nodded, cool as a cucumber in a snowstorm. "Oh, we've got the goods, Your Honor." Just then, the courtroom lights flickered, like the universe was saying, "Hold my coffee, this is about to get wild." Pam didn't flinch. Karoline's hand hovered over her files, ready to sling evidence like a legal ninja. A cough from the gallery broke the silence, because apparently someone forgot how to swallow quietly. Reeves waved it off, but the vibe was clear. This wasn't just a trial. It was a cage match between authority and truth, with Pam and Karoline as the scrappy underdogs. "Present your evidence," Reeves said, sounding like he was daring them to bore him. Pam stepped up, voice clear as a bell and twice as commanding. "Exhibit A, Your Honor. Financial records so clean they could star in a Tide commercial." Karoline handed the folder to the clerk, who passed it to Reeves like it was a sacred scroll. The judge opened it, and for a moment, the only sound was pages turning, each flip louder than a drum roll in the hushed room. The gallery leaned forward, practically sniffing the drama. Reeves's face was a mask, but Pam caught a twitch in his jaw, like he'd just bitten into a lemon-flavored plot twist. Karoline scanned the room, noting the gallery's mix of skepticism and "wait, what?" faces. Reeves closed the folder, tapping it like he was auditioning for a jazz band. "Thorough," he admitted, "but thorough doesn't mean game-changing." Pam smiled, the kind of smile that says, "Oh, buddy, we're just warming up." "We've got relevance in spades, Your Honor." A thud echoed from the hallway, probably a janitor dropping a mop, but in this room, it felt like the universe burping. Reeves glanced at the doors, then waved it off. "Proceed." Karoline slid the next document forward, and Pam felt a surge of confidence. They weren't just fighting a case. They were defending truth, justice, and the right to not be steamrolled by a guy who probably alphabetized his socks. The hush deepened as Pam placed Exhibit B on the bench. More financial proof, Your Honor, because we're not here to knit scarves. The gallery was so quiet you could hear a pin drop, or at least a reporter's pen rolling off a bench, which it did, because of course it did. Reeves opened the folder, scanning it like he was decoding an alien language. Pam stood tall, radiating try-me vibes. Karoline watched the judge's every move, noting the way his fingers tightened on the pages, like he was gripping a lifeboat in a storm. Reeves spoke, his voice a mix of gravel and grudging respect. These documents are comprehensive, but they don't rewrite the script. Pam was ready. With respect, Your Honor, check page 47. It's got more cross-referenced drama than a soap opera. Karoline handed over the report, and Reeves flipped to the page. His brow furrowed, his confidence wobbling like a Jenga tower in a windstorm. The gallery buzzed, sensing blood in the water. Another thud from the hallway made everyone jump, like the building itself was eavesdropping. Reeves barely blinked. "Order," he said, softer now, like he was saving his energy for the plot twist. Pam pressed on. Page 47 shows inconsistencies that'd make a conspiracy theorist blush. We're talking delays, discrepancies, and a timeline shadier than a used car lot. Karoline chimed in. And those delays need a full review, unless we're cool with justice moving slower than a sloth on vacation. Reeves read on, his fingers no longer tapping. The gallery was a sea of wide eyes and scribbling pens. Finally, he spoke. I see the relevance. The court will consider this. The crowd murmured, not with doubt, but with, holy cow, they're actually doing it energy. Pam nodded. We're just getting started, Your Honor. Karoline pulled out Exhibit C, and the lights flickered again because apparently the courtroom was allergic to chill. This, Pam declared, is Exhibit C, records so spicy they could star in a true crime podcast. The clerk delivered it to Reeves, who opened it like he was defusing a bomb. The courtroom clock chimed, slicing through the silence like a ninja with a deadline. Reeves paused, rereading lines, his legendary cool cracking like a cheap phone screen. Karoline whispered to Pam, "We're turning the tide." Pam nodded, because they weren't just presenting evidence, they were rewriting the room's expectations. The silence grew heavier as the afternoon sun cast shadows that screamed, "Epic showdown." Reeves was still buried in Exhibit C, his eyes moving slower, like he was reading a plot twist he didn't see coming. Pam and Karoline stood firm, their calm hiding the fact that their hearts were racing faster than a caffeinated squirrel. The gallery was frozen, pens poised, breaths held. Reeves finally spoke. These records suggest procedural hiccups that need explaining. The gallery gasped like they'd just seen a magic trick. For the first time, Reeves was admitting Pam and Karoline weren't just blowing smoke, they were lighting fires. Pam seized the moment. Those hiccups, Your Honor, are more like full-on stumbles. We think they've skewed past rulings. Karoline handed over a summary, adding, "This timeline's got more holes than a golf course." Reeves read the summary, his posture shifting from untouchable overlord to guy who just found spinach in his teeth. A pen clattered to the floor. Because seriously, people, get a grip. And Reeves waved it off. Continue. Pam felt the shift. The tension wasn't just resistance now, it was the pressure of a case cracking open like a piñata full of truth. Minutes dragged like hours. Reeves set the papers down, hands folded. The court recognizes these documents' weight. A review of past actions is in order. He raised a finger because judges love a dramatic pause. But recognition isn't a verdict. Fairness rules here, not snap judgments. Pam nodded. We just want the facts to shine, Your Honor, not our egos. A beam of sunlight hit their table, and the gallery practically swooned, because apparently even the weather was Team Pam and Karoline. Pam continued, We're not here to point fingers, we're here to point at the truth. Reeves nodded, his iron facade softening like butter in a microwave. Someone in the back whispered, They're rewriting history. Karoline heard it but stayed locked on Reeves, because distractions are for amateurs. Reeves spoke again. We'll recess. I'll review the rest personally. His gavel hit, sharp but not final, like a period in a sentence that's still being written. The crowd exhaled, buzzing like bees who'd just found a sugar jackpot. Pam turned to Karoline. We've cracked the shell. Karoline grinned. And now, the truth's spilling out. The recess was less a break and more a everyone lose their minds quietly intermission. Reporters whispered like they were plotting a heist. Pam and Caroline sat, calm as monks, their notes stacked like a fortress of facts. The doors creaked open, and in walked Judge Reeves, followed by, plot twist, the Federal Compliance Office, led by Special Agent Marcus Hale, a guy so cool he probably ironed his socks. The gallery lost it, whispering like they'd just seen a celebrity cameo. Reeves took his seat, robe swishing like a low-budget superhero cape. "The court notes the Compliance Office's presence," he said, choosing his words like he was picking fruit at a market. Hale stepped up. "Your Honor, we've been sniffing around these documents, and Pam and Caroline's evidence is raising red flags bigger than a parade float. We need to dig deeper." The gallery hummed, because nothing says drama like a federal agent saying, "We're not done yet." Pam rose, smooth as silk. "We're all for transparency, Your Honor. Let's air this laundry." Caroline nodded, because teamwork makes the dream work. Reeves leaned back, fingers steepled like he was plotting world domination. "The Compliance Office can poke around, but no one's jumping to conclusions." Pam smiled. "Conclusions? We're just serving facts, not dessert." Hale kept it professional, like a guy who'd seen it all. "We're just reviewing the paperwork, no pitchforks yet." The gallery was a pressure cooker, every whisper adding steam. The compliance team got to work, flipping through documents like they were speed reading a thriller. Minutes felt like years. Finally, Hale spoke. "The evidence checks out. There's enough weirdness here for a full review." The gallery erupted in hushed chaos. Gasps, scribbles, the works. Reeves nodded, his face a mix of "I'm still in charge" and "Okay, this is serious." "The court agrees. We'll schedule a deeper dive." Pam replied, "We're ready to help, Your Honor." Caroline added, "The public deserves to know the system's squeaky clean." Reeves tapped his gavel, adjourning the session like a chef plating a dish. The crowd spilled out, reporters sprinting to their cameras like they'd just won the news lottery. Pam and Caroline packed up, calm as ever, because heroes don't sweat the small stuff. Outside, a crowd cheered softly, and a law student approached, eyes wide. "You two are legends. This is what justice looks like." Pam smiled. "Justice is just truth, with better PR." Caroline added, "And a lot of coffee." The next day, the courtroom was a zoo. Journalists, students, randos, all packed in like sardines with notepads. Pam and Caroline walked in, unfazed, like they'd been born for this. Reeves entered, his face tighter than a drum, because even iron gavels feel the heat. "Order," he said, and the room obeyed like it was scared of detention. Pam stood. "Your Honor, any word on that compliance review?" Reeves nodded to Hale, who stepped up like he was about to drop a mic. "We've checked the math, and Pam and Caroline's evidence is solid. We're recommending a formal review." The gallery buzzed because formal review is legal speak for "We're not ignoring this." Reeves cleared his throat. "The court accepts the recommendation." Then, in a twist nobody saw coming, he leaned forward. "And I commend the petitioner's counsel for their grit and grace. Calling out glitches isn't easy, but it's vital." The gallery gasped like they'd just seen a unicorn. Pam nodded. "Fairness isn't a buzzword, Your Honor. It's the goal." Caroline added, "Transparency's the best Wi-Fi. Everyone benefits when it's strong." Reeves's gavel hit, adjourning the session with a sound that said, "We're not done, but we're listening." The crowd spilled out, reporters yelling into cameras, analysts tossing around words like game changer. Pam and Caroline packed up, ignoring the spotlight, because truth doesn't need a selfie. Outside, the crowd was a mix of cheers and awestruck stares. The law student from yesterday was back, practically vibrating. "You're showing us the law's a shield, not a sledgehammer." Pam grinned. "It's a promise, kid. Everyone gets a shot at the truth." Caroline added, "Even if it means surviving Judge Reeves's thermostat obsession." As they walked down the courthouse steps, the sun broke through, painting everything gold, because even the sky knew this was a moment. Pam glanced back at the courthouse, feeling not victory, but purpose. "One battle down," she said. Caroline nodded. "And we're ready for the sequel." That's the tale of Pam Bondi and Caroline Leavitt, who turned a courtroom into a truth-telling circus. They didn't just fight a case. They reminded us that justice isn't about gavels or robes. It's about courage, facts, and a refusal to back down, even when the thermostat's set to Arctic. What's your take? Ever seen someone stand up to power and win? Drop your thoughts below. And if you loved this roller coaster, Smash that like button and subscribe for more stories where truth punches harder than a kangaroo on Red Bull. Thanks for watching, and remember, the fight for fairness is the ultimate plot twist. Catch you next time.